my compliments on a wonderful analysis and a great presentation. I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. One of them was that you're using the predation risk model, and the areas which are national parks and all those have lower influence of swine fever, of swine flu, whatever.
Yes.
Is it a sampling artifact? Because in those wilderness areas, the wild pigs may not have been sampled to that extent as around the human habitation and closer proximity to people. Even the hunters may not penetrate that deep. Just a question.
Yeah, good question, perfect question. In the national parks, wild boars, red deers, and roe deers are being hunted as a control of the species in the natural area to avoid damages that they provoke to the forest, right? So the wild boar is being killed inside the national park, and one of the laws of Slovakia is when you kill one wild boar, you have to keep it in the fridge, you have to wait for the tests, and then after the tests come positive or negative, you can do it.
So, well, the comment, it's just a comment. You're using a binomial model, mostly, presence absence. But I believe you have data which is quantity-wise. So you have actually incidences of the swine fever, as well as photographic encounter rates of wolves.
Yes.
And you're reducing the data to presence and absence. I believe you'll have much more power in your statistics if you actually use the quantities of both.
Yes.
So you, instead of losing information, you'll have a better information. So that was just a suggestion.
Yeah, in this moment, the biggest problem is as well the sharing of the data. There is a secretly data collection because each wild boar, the government is, and in European Union, they are spending 50 euros for analysis of DNA. So you can imagine that the 300 cases that we have positive, if we calculate, is 15,000 euros, right? If we calculate that they were made 20,000 analyses of DNA, is a lot of money, right? So the investment that is being done, maybe that's why it's secretive data and they don't want to share it with nobody. But yes, we want in the future to make these analyses with the presence of African swine fever and the real data that of individuals that were found not with disease, and as well making this correlation. And I hope this is an extra point that I was not counting with, and is the presence of wolf and the data that we have. Thank you. We will discuss it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for your very nice presentation, first of all. Then I would like to ask you, you did food analysis.
Yes.
Do you have any estimation of prey abundance in this area?
We based on the calculations of the, yes, we have the hunting grounds count, and because they are the national report, we have it in mind. But the counts, I think I put it in the beginning of my presentation, and this will explain you what I want to tell you now.
Are they data, valid?
You see the
I saw.
guesstimate. These were statistic procedures that were valid 20-30 years ago. That they are the count by observation. They are statistically, and you can make a real data about it, but it's not 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 can make it a big mistake, right? And I can add as well that the populations, we have more than 100,000 of roe deer. We have 50,000 wild boars, 60 or 70,000 red deers. So we have a multi-prey action, but numbers.
These numbers are.
Yes, we made an approximation. So we, based on what the hunters and the forest center
big.
Yes. Probably, but then the percentage might not be so much different between one species to the other.
Yeah.
So the error might be balanced.
In
From,
percentage.
yeah.
Are you in? I think. Yeah.
Feeding, that would be another presentation. Why the population of bears increased and So that would be
If you always make the same mistake in counting the animals, then you don't have the numbers, but if you do have different,
yes, that's
you always make
that's
the
what
same
we
mistake.
Just two comments. First, I really appreciate your effort you put into distribution modeling because, for example, for max and only presence is used, but you also did it for absence, so you may get much better data than just modeling based on presence.
Yes.
And one more comment, in Poland, last 3 years, 1 million whiteboards was killed, and only 2% of them had ASF. You know, it doesn't matter, male, piglets, they were shooting like crazy just to get rid of the whiteboards, which potentially could have this ASF disease, but of course we know that humans are mainly responsible for ASF, not the whiteboards. So it could be one of the factors why wolves are spreading more, because they have the main food resources are practically destroyed.
Yeah, I was discussing with Dr. Ilka from Germany last May, and she was telling me that the approach from Germany for the African swine fever was to create fences where they would find the population. But I was telling her that happened in the first and second incident of African swine fever in Europe, that it stayed endemic in Sardinia island. So you would be creating islands in Germany with African swine fever forever. So that would be a solution. So I think the solution is the same that we did with Corona, is let it go. Animals will recover. It's not zoonotic disease, so it doesn't. Sorry, so it doesn't affect people. So okay, we should kill it by ethical to not eat disease, and nobody wants to eat a sick animal, right? But there would be another solution. Imagine 1 million samples times 50 euros. We still survive.
It's only 50 million euros.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. You know what that 50 million would help? How many people? How many science studies? You know.
In Delta, we discussed that black pepper insect give ACF or the big farm.
Yeah.
So they got the grower and so on, that black pepper insect.
The African swine fever started in Africa, like the name comes. And in Africa, it was the main spreading of the disease was the tick. Right? But when it came to Europe, that the tick is not the main influence, but is the presence and the proximity of the animals and the wild boar eating infected wild boar that makes the disease prevalent or the disease infection.
First, congratulations for the studies, especially the ones that are really interesting regarding the wolf predation and the probability of African swine fever. Beside the detection function that has been already mentioned, it might be less pronounced in the more remote areas. Is the distribution of African swine fever as we see as probability, we are also as a function as a density distribution of wild boars, which are tended to be more numerous and with higher densities, closer to lowlands and human settlements and so on. In that case, the correlation between wolf predation and probability of African swine fever wouldn't be so pronounced as it is in this case. So there is correlation, but there might be some other.
Yeah, of course, the population of wild boar can be different national park, but actually, in the national park, in the Boranska Parlena National Park, before I finished the diet analysis, the hunters came to me and asked, why the wolf is not eating wild boar? We have so many wild boars and the wolf is not eating wild boar. And actually the wolf was selecting and killing the wild boar in this national park, and the numbers were still high. Right? So the numbers in the national park might not differ so much from outside and from inside these protected areas and the predation risk areas. So we should go maybe to get it a little bit further. This may be a good point, and thank you for your question. This can be something that we have to pay attention, but the reality, the last 2 years, better to say, 4 years ago we had some camera trapping and we would find wild boars in all the camera traps. But after this, after 2020, when the wild boar should be shot, the incidence of the wild boar in the camera traps is just reduced drastically. But of course, it can reduce drastically as well outside of the areas because they would be shot as well there. But,
I was also surprised that the wild boars were selected, and this EWES index
Yeah.
showed selection towards the wild boars. Because, according to data from Slovenia, we only got positive selection toward the red deer selection. So it's it's interesting.
If you check the article, I don't know if I have the name of the article here, but if you check the article as well, we tested as well the vulnerability of the prey according to environmental factors. So we checked the altitude and the snow cover duration to see how vulnerable the wild boar would come and how vulnerable the red deer. I didn't put it in our, I think I don't even have the name of the article here, but you can check it in the research guide to the GUIMARAES, this article is there. So it's the point. Thank you for your questions.